At my father's funeral, my brother pulled me aside and hissed, "Don't even think about asking for a penny, he only loved me." I sat through the eulogy watching him sob into the microphone, listing off stories that had nothing to do with reality. Weeks later, when the will was read, it turned out I was the only one left anything, and the room fell dead silent. I never thought I'd be standing at my dad's funeral feeling nothing. Not sad. Not angry. Just empty. I hadn't seen him much in the last 10 years. He never made the effort. I tried now and then, but I always felt like a guest in his life. I'd send him cards, call on holidays, text sometimes. The responses were cold, short, or never came. I blamed myself for a while, thought maybe I wasn't interesting enough, or maybe I just wasn't what he wanted in a son. But later I realized it wasn't me. It was Caleb. Caleb made sure there was no space for me in Dad's life. Let me back up. I'm Ethan. I'm 38, live in a quiet neighborhood outside Indianapolis. I work in IT. Keep to myself. I'm not flashy, not loud. That's just how I've always been. My older brother Caleb is 41, and he's been full of crap since we were kids. Loud, manipulative, always needed to be the center of attention. If he wasn't getting his way, everyone suffered. If he did get his way, he'd still make sure you knew it was because he was special. He wasn't always this bad. When we were really young, he was just a normal older brother, bossy, sure, but not cruel. That changed around middle school. He started lying. Stealing. Telling mom and dad it was me. He knew exactly what to say to look innocent. Me? I wasn't good with words. I'd freeze. Get tongue-tied. Dad would yell. I'd take the hit. Caleb would watch from the corner, smiling. By the time we were in high school, Dad didn't even bother checking the facts anymore. Caleb said it? Must be true. When I left for Purdue at 18, I cut contact for a while. I was tired. I couldn't take the way Dad looked at me, like I was a problem, not a person. I figured maybe we needed space. Maybe in time, things would heal. They didn't. Caleb stayed close to home. Made himself useful. Helped Dad with his finances. Helped him organize his mail, sort through his meds, talk to the neighbors. I later found out that meant he opened my letters and threw them out. Deleted my voicemails. Told people I didn't care. Dad believed him. Or maybe it was just easier that way. So when Dad died earlier this year, heart failure in his sleep, I didn't cry. Not because I didn't care. But because I had already buried the relationship long ago. The funeral was held on a cloudy Saturday in Avon, Indiana. The church was one of those old buildings with cracked stained glass and creaky pews. People were crying, hugging each other, passing tissues. I stood near the back, quiet, trying not to be seen. I hadn't seen most of these people in years. Then Caleb walked over. Black suit, hair slicked back, crocodile tears in his eyes. He leaned in close, and in the coldest voice I've ever heard, said, "Don't even think about asking for a penny, he only loved me." Then he gave me a fake smile and walked to the front like he was the star of the show. I stood there frozen. I didn't know what to say. During the service, Caleb got up to speak. He sobbed into the mic, choked out fake memories, talked about how Dad always said I was his greatest joy, and we were more like best friends than father and son. It was garbage. He said they went fishing every summer. They didn't. He said Dad taught him to be a man. That was a joke. Caleb cheated on every girlfriend he ever had and borrowed money from Dad until the end. I sat there, fists clenched, jaw tight. No one stopped him. No one questioned a word of it. I didn't speak. After the funeral, I went home alone. No one called. No one checked in. 3 weeks later, I got a letter from a law office in Indianapolis. Dad's will was being read. I didn't think much of it. Honestly, I figured everything would go to Caleb. Why wouldn't it? He was the favorite. I showed up to the office, still half expecting to be told I was getting nothing. Caleb was already there. Lounging in the lobby, grinning like he'd just won the lottery. He patted me on the back like we were buddies. "Thanks for coming, man," he said, smug as hell. "Shouldn't take long." The lawyer, Gerard Pierce, was an older man with gray hair and a calm voice. He led us into a quiet conference room and closed the door. He opened the file. Caleb was sitting to my right, leaning back like he owned the place. Gerard began. "To my son Caleb, I leave my baseball card collection and the cabin in Brown County, on the condition that he completes 1 full year of sobriety, verified by a licensed counselor." Caleb sat up. "Wait. What does that mean?" Gerard didn't respond. Just kept reading. "To my son Ethan, I leave the house, my personal savings, and full control of my estate, including the right to decide the future of the cabin, if the sobriety condition is not met." I froze. Caleb's jaw dropped. "This is a joke, right?" Gerard looked at him. "It's not." To Ethan, the will continued, "No, I wasn't the father you deserved. I believed lies. I failed to protect you. You always showed me quiet loyalty, and I never gave you what you needed. I hope this helps fix some of that." The room was silent. Caleb exploded. "You've got to be kidding me. This is some scam. Dad would never leave him anything. He barely even talked to Ethan." I turned to him and said, maybe he finally figured out why. He lunged toward me, knocking over a chair. Gerard threatened to call security. Caleb stormed out. "Since then, I've been going through Dad's house. Cleaning things. Sorting papers. I found something I never expected. A box. Hidden in the attic. Full of letters. All addressed to me. He never sent them. Some were dated years ago. One said he was proud of me for going back to school. Another said he was sorry for not listening when I tried to tell him what Caleb had done. Another one said he tried to call but Caleb told him I changed my number. Caleb had intercepted everything. He kept us apart for years. He stole the time I'll never get back with my father." I kept thinking maybe I was done. Maybe having the house and the account and the control was enough. But now I know it isn't. Caleb took more than money from me. He took my father. He made him believe I didn't care. And now he's out there telling people I manipulated the will, that I forged it, that Dad was confused at the end. I've stayed quiet long enough. Now it's my turn. And Caleb doesn't know what's coming. The day after I found the letters in the attic, I drove to Gerard Pierce's office and showed them to him. He read them in silence. Then he looked at me and said, "This changes things." I didn't know what he meant at first. Then he explained something I didn't expect. Apparently, 2 years before my dad died, he started making changes to his estate. He told Gerard he had questions about whether Caleb had been hiding things from him. At the time, Gerard had advised him to get more proof before cutting Caleb out completely. That's why Dad gave Caleb that sobriety condition. He didn't want to disown him entirely, but he also didn't trust him anymore. The letters I found? They were proof that Dad tried to reach out. And Caleb made sure I never saw it. "I think we need to file an affidavit," Gerard said. "Let's make this official. Caleb doesn't just lose the cabin now. He could face consequences." I nodded. My hands were sweating. I wasn't sure I wanted to take it that far. But then I remembered Caleb standing at that funeral, lying to a room full of people, acting like Dad had adored him, calling me nothing. I remembered the voicemail Caleb left me after the will reading. He said I manipulated a dying man. He threatened to sue. Said he'd drag my name through the dirt. That made the decision for me. 2 weeks later, I got served papers. Caleb was suing me. He accused me of undue influence, claiming I took advantage of our father's declining health to rewrite the will. It was laughable. But expensive. Gerard told me not to worry, that we had evidence and witnesses. But lawsuits don't move fast. And they're never cheap. Caleb was smart about it. He filed just enough paperwork to slow things down, bleed me out financially, drag my name around town. Suddenly old neighbors were giving me strange looks. Someone from Dad's church even posted a Facebook rant about snakes in the family. I was losing control of the story. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I went to see Caleb. He was living in some sketchy one-bedroom apartment in the city, south of downtown. The front door had a crack in it. Beer cans on the porch. A dog barked from inside but never stopped. He answered shirtless, eyes bloodshot. I could smell the alcohol from where I stood. "What do you want?" he asked. "I found the letters," I said. "The ones Dad wrote me." His face went pale. I kept going. "The ones you kept from me. The ones you threw out." He didn't speak. I stepped closer. "You didn't just lie. You stole our father's voice. You made me think he hated me. You made him think I gave up on him." He looked away, jaw clenched. "You were always the golden boy," I said. "Even when you hurt people. Even when you lied. He still picked you. And you used that to destroy every chance I had at fixing things." He turned back toward me, anger rising. "You think this changes anything? You were always weak, Ethan. Always whining, always playing the victim. You think a few letters mean Dad loved you more? Grow the hell up." I didn't say anything. I just stared. "I'm not giving up that cabin," he said. "I don't care what some piece of paper says. That place is mine." Then he stepped forward, real close, and said, "Try and stop me." A week later, the cabin was broken into. I got a call from the local sheriff. Someone smashed the back door and tried to set a fire in the kitchen. The flames didn't spread far. A neighbor saw smoke and called it in fast. But the intent was clear. They found an empty bottle of whiskey in the living room. Caleb's brand. The cops said there wasn't enough evidence to arrest anyone yet. But I knew. This wasn't just about the inheritance anymore. This was a war. So I went deeper. I hired a private investigator. I gave him everything: Caleb's known hangouts, his friends, the rehab clinic he pretended to go to so he could claim he was clean. 2 weeks later, the investigator handed me a thick folder. Fake sobriety records. Fraudulent receipts from a made-up counselor. Witness statements from people who said Caleb bragged about faking it all. The same day I got that folder, I also got a call from Gerard. "We're filing a motion tomorrow," he said. "Once this gets in front of a judge, it's over." But it wasn't over. Not yet. Because Caleb wasn't going to just walk away. That night, I got a message from an unknown number. Just 4 words: "You'll regret this, traitor." Then a picture of my house. Taken from across the street. I didn't sleep that night. And I realized something: this isn't just about Dad's money or a stupid cabin in the woods. This is about the truth. Caleb built his life on lies. He made everyone believe he was the chosen one. The favorite. The good son. He kept my father from me. He tried to make me invisible. But I'm done hiding. I'm not the quiet kid anymore. Now it's my turn to speak, and the truth is going to tear everything down around him. 2 days after the picture of my house was sent to me, I came home from work to find my front door cracked open. I froze on the porch. I live in a quiet suburb. Neighbors know each other. People walk dogs at night. Stuff like this doesn't happen here. I pushed the door open and stepped inside slowly. The lock was broken. My living room had been ransacked, cushions tossed, drawers open, lamp smashed. But nothing was missing. Not the TV. Not my laptop. Not even the cash I kept in the kitchen drawer. It wasn't a robbery. It was a warning. On my dining table was one of Dad's letters. One I had locked in my desk upstairs. It was open, folded neatly, and underlined with red ink. 3 words, "You were forgotten." I called the police. They dusted for prints, took photos, asked questions. I gave them Caleb's name. They didn't find enough to arrest him. Just like at the cabin. That night, I stayed at a hotel. I didn't go back to the house for 3 days. Gerard filed the motion with the court. We were finally going to get a hearing on the estate. The PI's report was solid. It showed Caleb forged documents, lied about sobriety, and even had texts from a friend admitting Caleb had asked him to pose as a counselor. But right before the hearing date, Gerard got a strange phone call from a second lawyer claiming to represent Caleb. This lawyer said they had a new will, dated just 3 months before Dad died. And in that version, everything went to Caleb. The house. The cabin. The accounts. All of it. I didn't believe it. I knew Dad's health was failing, but he wasn't senile. Gerard had the notarized documents. Dad signed the original will in front of 2 witnesses. That was locked in tight. But still, Caleb was pushing this new version hard. It delayed the hearing another month. The court had to verify both wills and check signatures. Gerard was livid. He said the new document looked fishy. The signature was similar, but something was off. We sent it to a forensic handwriting expert. While we waited, I went back to Dad's house to keep sorting through what was left. That's when I found the flash drive. It was taped under the kitchen counter, behind a panel. I only found it because I dropped my keys and saw the edge sticking out. I took it home and opened it on my laptop. There were only 3 files on it. 3 video recordings. The first one was Dad, sitting at his desk, dated 6 months before he died. He looked tired. Thin. But clear-headed. "Ethan," he said, "I don't know if you'll ever see this. But I need to say something. I've made a lot of mistakes with you. I let your brother run the show. I believed him too many times. You deserved better. And I've been trying to fix it." He paused. "If anything happens to me suddenly, and you get pushed aside again, know that I tried to make it right." The second video was shorter. Just 30 seconds. It was Dad again, holding up the signed will we'd already filed. "This is the one," he said. "This is my final decision. If anyone tries to use anything else, it's a lie." The third video? That one made my stomach twist. It was a home security clip. Dated a month before Dad died. It showed Caleb coming into the house. It was late. He looked drunk. He went into Dad's office. The audio was rough, but you could hear Caleb shouting, "You're cutting me out? After everything I did for you? I kept your pills straight, I dealt with your bills, while Ethan sat on his ass in the city." Dad tried to calm him. Told him it wasn't about punishment. Caleb slammed a drawer shut and said something that chilled me. "If I don't get what I deserve, I'll make a will that does." I sent all 3 videos to Gerard. Within an hour, he called me back and said, "We've got him. But we had to play it smart. The court date was in 2 weeks. If we moved too early, Caleb would find a way to twist it again. So we kept quiet. Didn't mention the videos. Didn't mention the expert who confirmed the signature on the fake will wasn't Dad's. We let Caleb dig his own grave. And he did. A week before the hearing, I got a call from an unknown number again. This time, the voice was shaky. Sounded scared. Is this Ethan? Yes. I don't want trouble. But I need to clear my name. Caleb paid me to forge that signature. I didn't know the whole story. But now I do. Who are you? My name's Derek. I used to work with him. He said it was just a formality. But then I saw the news about the house break-in. And the fire. And I realized, he's not stopping. Why are you calling me? Because I want out. I'm sending you the texts. The emails. Everything. I just want to be left alone. The next day, I got screenshots. Pages of them. Messages from Caleb promising money if Derek could fake a legal-looking will. Instructions. Pictures of Dad's old signature. It was all there. I forwarded everything to Gerard. Caleb didn't know yet. He still thought he was winning. And that made what was coming even better. Because now, I had the original will. I had the expert report. I had video evidence. And now I had a witness ready to testify that Caleb paid him to commit fraud. But I wasn't done. I still had one last thing up my sleeve. Something I hadn't even told Gerard about yet. Something I found on that flash drive, tucked inside a folder that didn't look important at first. A document. Not a legal one. A letter. From Dad. A confession about something huge, something Caleb would never recover from once it went public. And that? That's what I'm saving for the day we walk into court. Because I'm not just taking the house or the cabin. I'm taking back everything he stole from me. And when this is done, Caleb won't just lose what he thought was his. He'll lose the lies he built his whole life on. The court hearing was scheduled for 10:30 a.m. at the Marion County Courthouse. I got there early, sat in the parking lot with my hands shaking, staring at the courthouse steps. I thought about walking away. Thought about just letting it all go. But then I remembered that first moment at the funeral, when Caleb leaned in close, hissed in my ear, and told me I was worth nothing. That was the last time I let him decide who I was. Inside the courtroom, Caleb showed up like he always did, dressed in a sharp suit, hair slicked back, fake confidence all over his face. He saw me and smirked. No shame, no fear. His new lawyer, a young guy in an expensive suit, looked calm and ready. I could tell he thought this would be easy. Then Gerard walked in. He had 2 folders in his hand. One had documents. The other had a flash drive. The judge called us to order. Caleb's lawyer started off with this big speech, how Dad had been confused in his final months, how the new will reflected his true intentions, how Caleb had dedicated his life to taking care of Dad. It was all lies. When it was Gerard's turn, he stood up, opened the first folder, and calmly said, "Your Honor, we have video and written evidence proving the second will was forged, the sobriety condition was never met, and the defendant knowingly engaged in fraud to steal the estate." Then he played the videos. The courtroom went quiet. First, the one of Dad talking directly to me, saying he was sorry. Then the one of him holding the real will. Then the last one, Caleb screaming at Dad, threatening to make a new will if he didn't get what he wanted. I glanced at Caleb during that one. His face changed. He looked like he'd been punched in the chest. Then Gerard dropped the final blow. He handed over the signed report from the handwriting expert confirming the fake signature. And then he called the surprise witness, Derek. Derek walked in, looking pale and nervous. He testified under oath that Caleb paid him to forge the will and even showed the text messages to prove it. The judge didn't even hesitate. She declared the second will fraudulent, ruled in favor of the original will, and stripped Caleb of all inheritance rights. Even the baseball cards. Even the cabin. She also referred the case to the prosecutor's office for potential criminal charges. That should have been enough. But it wasn't. Because I wasn't finished yet. 3 days later, I mailed the final letter I found on the flash drive to Dad's church, the local paper, and a few people in the neighborhood who used to think Caleb was the golden boy. It was a written confession, something Dad typed up but never sent. In it, he admitted that years earlier, Caleb had stolen over $40,000 from his retirement account. Dad kept it quiet to protect the family. He covered for Caleb, told people he'd made a bad investment. Caleb promised to pay him back. He never did. He spent it on gambling and women. The letter went public. And within a week, Caleb's life fell apart. He got fired from his job. His girlfriend left him. The church kicked him out of the men's group he used to run. He got charged with fraud for forging the will and making false statements during probate. And just when it looked like things couldn't get worse for him, the neighbor from the cabin came forward. Turns out, his doorbell camera caught Caleb sneaking around the night of the break-in. The cops used it to issue a warrant. He got arrested. I didn't even have to testify. Last week, I got a letter from Caleb. Handwritten. Sloppy. Sent from jail. He said I ruined his life. He begged me to fix it before his sentencing. I read it once. Then I tossed it in the trash. These days, I still live in Dad's house. It's quiet, but peaceful now. I fixed it up. Put new locks on the doors. Cleaned the attic. Got rid of the old furniture and repainted everything. Sometimes I sit in the living room with a cup of coffee and reread Dad's real letters. The ones he meant for me to have. The ones where he tried to make things right. Do I forgive him? Not fully. Not yet. But I know he tried. And that means something. As for Caleb, he's facing up to 5 years in prison. His lawyer tried to get him a deal. Said he was emotionally distressed and grieving. The judge didn't buy it. She said, grief doesn't excuse fraud, arson, or manipulation. When the sentence was read, I was in the back of the courtroom. He saw me. I didn't smile. I didn't speak. I just stood there and watched as they led him away in cuffs. The golden boy. The favorite. The fake. And in that moment, I realized something. Caleb didn't just lose the money. He didn't just lose the house, the cabin, or the trust. He lost everything. Because when your whole life is built on lies, sooner or later, the truth catches up. And when it does, it burns everything down.